3-5 homework, I imagine that was because you had lots of questions. What questions can I answer for you on 3-5? And ask discreetly where you don't do 1. How about 2? How about 3? How about 4? You ask out of order. What questions do we see?
For number 4, if you're doing when you draw the normal curve, because it's asking within 2 inches of the overall height, you change the standard deviation from 2.5 to 2.
Oh, okay. That's a great question. So this would be definitely one I would do on the calculator. So I'm going to go distribution, normal CDF, and being I'm going to find within 2 inches. So that's like a z-score of saying 2, even though standard deviation is 2.5. So my lower limit's going to be -2, or let's do this. I can actually change this. Let's see, 67. The upper is 71. The average, I said, was 69 inches. And the normal standard deviation was 2.5. So if you do that, it's going to give you a region that is less than 68%. So it looks like 57.6%. That's about right. 57.6?
Yeah.
Anybody else show up? Okay.
When you change the standard deviation?
No. You just do the limit between the two.
Okay.
Yeah. What else did you see, friends? Good. We're happy, content. Life is fun. Still laughing when people fall.
Absolutely.
Saw a couple of yous at the football game the other night. At the Creek football game, yeah. I got to go see. I saw that. Not only did I see that kid collide with our kid, Joe Herrera is one of our coaches who I know him from my church. He goes, check this out. He shows me the video. Watch this in slow-mo. I was like, oh, man. Fortunately, that young man only got a sprained shoulder, it sounds like. So that's nice to know. Catherine is confused because I had a walkie-talkie on. So Catherine doesn't realize that I'm really a security guard, right? She's like, wait a minute, you have a... It's my attaboy duty. I show up, I do all the game managing for, and work with, like, I do a lot of the volleyball games, do clock for lower level volleyball. For boys and girls basketball, I'm the game manager, so I show up to the games and make sure that the teams know where to go and the referees know to go. But I often have a radio with me because a lot of times when you try and text older people, you'll usually find out the next day, hey, I got your text. It was 16 hours ago. But so the radio is easier to call people saying, hey, we have a parent we need to eject. Yeah, usually the referees come, hey, that parent has to go. It's normally not one of our parents. The last one I had to eject was a grandpa for the Arapaho girls. And referee said, the game's not going to start until he leaves. I said, sir, you've been asked to leave. And he crosses his arms. He goes, I'm not leaving. Freedom of speech. So then I don't debate somebody on constitutional rights. I let the police officer know, hey, this person's been asked to leave. And the police officer usually whispers something into their ear in which they leave. And I asked the police officer, I said, what did you whisper in his ear to make him leave? He goes, don't make me do something to you that's going to require a lot of paperwork. I was like, all right. So, yeah, that was an Arapaho grandpa, so he had to leave. Gosh, about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, the girls basketball was playing Cherokee Trail, and they're winning 116 to nothing. And there's 11 seconds left, and the referee said, the lady up there in the green has to leave. Now, I don't know if you've been to a girls game but there's not a lot of fans there. I wish there were. Wish there were more. But the referee said the lady in the green has to leave. So there's like a 95-year-old black lady who I don't know if she knew where she was at. And then a white lady with all these neck tattoos. And so he just points to the lady in green, and they both had green on. And I walk up to the 5 parents that were there, or the 5 fans that were there for Cherokee Trail. I said, the lady with the green shirt has been asked to leave, and the lady with the neck tattoos gave me a couple of colorful metaphors, meaning F-bombs. She used it as probably 4 or 5 different parts of speech, and assured me that the green that she was wearing was teal, in which I said to her, I said, I'm not an art major, so I don't know what the difference between teal and green is, especially because I'm partially colorblind. And then the referee came up to me, he goes, no, not her, and he points to the 90-year-old, 95-year-old lady. And then the ref started the game back up, stop it immediately, said all of them have to leave now. And I was like, I'm thinking, okay, what, like, dude, just let the time run out. I'll get you in the locker room as fast as I can. So I have to eject everybody. And then the parents, the 5 whole parents that were there, I guess there was 4 at that point because the 95-year-old had to leave, make a threat out to the floor saying to the referees, we're waiting for you guys out in the parking lot. Now they just change it to the next level. So I do what most people would do in that situation. I'm not going to be involved. I'm going to get the people. We didn't have a police officer that night because there's, more people that play on one team in the stands than there were actually as fans. So I dial the 9911. You have to dial 9 to get an outside line. And I found out real quick that not only do the police show up, but about 45 different people in the district find out you dialed 911 for the district phone. And they're like, why did you call 911? I got to explain the situation. And like, did you feel the referees were in danger? And I'm like, when they kind of said we're meeting you in the parking lot, I wasn't going to go out to the parking lot and see. But I will tell you what, Greenwood PD, when they are bored, they show up in force. There are about 16 police officers. I think they woke up the captain, got him out of bed. Hey, something's going on at the high school. All right, let's go. So, yeah. Well, I'm too old. I don't want to dance with anybody these days.
So you could.
Yeah, I don't need to give anyone a shot at the title any longer in life.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
All right, so we're good with the homework, and now you've heard the life story of Stirrup. So, my friends, I am on page 73, and this is 3-6, which is inverse normal. So, what we had been doing was this, using the normal CDF on the calculator. They would tell us a certain value, and we could either have the mean be 0 or given, and the standard deviation as 1 or given. And we could put the observed value in, and it would give you the area to the left. So this is what we had been doing, okay? Or we had been doing this as well, where we want to find in between two z-scores. So we could find this. And then, of course, if we wanted to find this, the area over here, what you do is you plug in this into normal CDF, and then you go 1 minus the decimal, and it gives you the area to the right. Okay, so that's what we had been doing. So now we are going to know the area, and we are going to find what the z-score would be, because remember, the z-score is the same thing as a standard deviation, just standard deviations normally don't have decimal amounts unless it's given. Okay, so we're going to use something called inverse norm, which is the percentile, the mean, and the standard deviation. Excuse me. So, so they gave an example. They tell us that, hey, 35% of our observations are greater than which z-score. So now we're not looking for the area, we're looking for the z-score, so whatever this value on the x-axis would be. Okay? So let's, if you have a calculator, we'll bust out on it and see how that works. All right, so inverse norm. So let's see where it's at. Answer, z-scores possess the standard normal distribution with a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. We were looking for the position at the 65th percentile. Okay, so that I don't know why they changed from 35 to 65. But so when we do this, we go into our second distribute, and we look for the inverse norm. So number 3. And then it says the area is 0.65. So remember, the area under the curve has a total of 1 or 100%, so this would be 65% of the area. And so they told us that we're just going to keep the mean, the average, the center of our spread at 0 and our standard deviation of 1. And then notice it says left, center, right. So we're just going to focus on the left for right now. Not all the calculators will have left, center, and right. So if we just take a look at this and go down to paste, and I think you have to enter one more time. So this is going to tell us that a z-score of 0.385, so 0.385, so you're not quite one standard deviation above the mean. So if we went back to our graph, so a inverse norm at the 0.65, which means you're dealing with this area here is 65%, which is where you get the 0.65. So they tell us that the z-score, if you had your 0 here, you had 1 here, this is at 0.385. So your 0.385 standard deviations above the average. Okay, so it just kind of tells you position, where you fall amongst your data. You can also deal with it. You know, they have an example. It says IQs are normally distributed with a mean of 100 and standard deviation of 15. What is the IQ at the 66th percentile? So again, we'll just go back to the inverse norm on the calculator. So second distribute, or second vars, number 3. And they want us to do the 66th percentile. So we're going to go 0.66. And then they told us that we have a standard deviation, or an average of 100, and a standard deviation of 15. And again, we want to do the left. So we hit paste. So then it comes up with that. And then they tell us an IQ of approximately 106 is better than 65% of, is better than 66% of our people. And I don't know why they said that the 65th percentile. I think it's really on 66th percentile. So I think that's a error in what they say. Okay, that means that to the right, so people with above 106 is accounting for 0.34 or 34% of IQ scores. Okay, so the inverse norm calculator command always works with percentages to the left. Again, on some of the calculators, it'll do left, center, right. Just keep it to the left each time. Some of the calculators, depending upon which operating system you have, sometimes they give it to you like this, and you have to realize what goes in with the comma, comma, comma. Excuse me. And then to the left. Okay. Actually, I think the older version of the calculator when you type in the inverse norm, this is the percentile. So that's the percent to the left area. And then you would plug in the mean, the standard deviation. And I know that we have this and it's coming up with left, but I think if you have like a TI 83, I don't think this option is given to you. So you just have to put in this and it would give you what the z-score would be. And again, the z-score is the standard deviation, and the z-score are basically the same thing in a sense. Okay? Is that good enough? Everyone happy? All right, so this week we have 3-6, that's today. Tomorrow's 3-7. Wednesday, I'm going to change that to a review day, and then we'll have a quiz on 3-1 to 3-5. So that's what I got. So your homework for tonight is going to be, you have the opportunity to work on this or catch up on whatever you need to catch up on. Remember, folks, if you owe me something, go get it done. I have all the videos posted, so if you find something that's, way back when, figure out which video it goes with, and it should help you out, and then get whatever's done. My hope is this. Come like December 15th, I don't have someone say, here's my 83 assignments I owe you. Yes, I'll put them in for you, but it just puts a little bit more on my plate. So that's what I got. Happy to help you here.